Markets have taken a bit of a risk-off turn today, so let's talk about what he's watching at the moment. Peter McGuire from XM joins me live via Skype. Peter, great to get you on here today, and I appreciate your time. Before we get onto the charts, just a general impression of what you think's going on in the markets right now. How are you seeing things just broadly at the moment?
Well, good afternoon, Kyle. I think everyone's just scratching their heads and taking a deep breath. Have a look what's happening in Asia today, spanked down. Have a look as far as Sabotage well, they're saying it's Sabotage, the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines from a geopolitical stance. So how's that going to play into Europe and gas? What's happening with the Ukraine situation, China? Yeah, so I'm looking at a lot of different moving parts and a US dollar that's just ballistic at 114.60. So yeah, it's game on at the moment, Kyle.
Game on, and let's talk about that wrecking ball that is the US dollar. We'll get that chart up. How's everything faring at the moment? Because some are saying that potentially this is a bit of a melt up over the last few days. Obviously very overbought by some measures. But how are you seeing things perhaps in the short term and then obviously in the longer run as well?
Well, if you're looking back over the chart tells the story, and over the last couple of months, we've gone from that 107, 108 handle up to 114.50. And I think that's taken most traders by surprise and the massive sell-off. So the other side of the equation is have a look at yen, euro and pound and the Aussie dollar, for an instance. And they've just come under enormous sell-offs. Well, I'm not here to say that it has already happened. That's probably what I'm trying to get out. We've seen such dramatic moves over the last couple of weeks. It's stunned everyone, and the upward trend seems to be US dollar 116, 117 is the new handle that everyone's saying it's got the potential to hit. And that's, I think, further softness for those other currencies. Yeah, you might see a yen at 150, a pound at parity, and of course the euro maybe touch even a 93 or 94.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's the dollar index. Let's talk about one of those pairs that you've just mentioned, which is the yen. Now, there's that dollar story that's been driven up by an element of that by the pound and even what's happened last night as far as Nord Stream goes. But the yen itself has got its own issues, the BOJ battling to keep it somewhat contained. How is everything looking at for you from that pair?
Well, that big intervention that we saw last Friday, Kyle, and as far as the yen was touching that 145, you saw big intervention or massive intervention from Bank of Japan, and it went. I think we saw it down to around about that 143 level. It seems to be trending back up, and the overall momentum at the moment is 145. It'll breach it again. We expect to see further intervention again from the Japanese central bank. And it's going to be a tough one because unless they're prepared to raise rates, and it's really it's showtime in the sense where we've got the Fed and their comments, and the divergence between the two interest rate policies is nothing short of, you scratch your head, it's immense. So yes, the overall, I think, scenario we're looking at, 150 is probably the new handle for the yen, and what impact that's going to have naturally to the Japanese economy. So yeah, it's a trader's delight.
A trader's delight indeed. Now, you had just in your note today, just a bit of a stock on your radar. Volkswagen in particular, the people's car. What attracted you to that today? What's, I suppose, going on with the company and of course, the technicals on the chart?
Well, if you look at that, and you're also thinking about that Porsche IPO coming on the horizon, the chart line, our analysts looked at it. We saw that the potential for a bit of a breakout, and the demand picture across the fleet of Volkswagen product line is reasonably strong, and they're expecting it maybe a $200 stock price, currently sitting around that 180, and the potential there is to edge higher from here. So we've seen that move. It's had a little bit of a correction, and from a technical standpoint, there could be a nice point there from that 50-day moving average to, nudge a fair bit higher. So we're also keeping an eye, as I mentioned, on that Porsche IPO and how all that materialises in this next quarter.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Hey, just before I let you go for another day, just wanted to get your just sort of general view, as I did last time, I think, on just tackling in this market environment. From someone with a few years of experience up their sleeve, how ought to the days like the last couple of days be approached, especially with what we saw in the pound, gilts, stocks, very very edgy, very very nervous environment.
Kyle, it's a 24-hour-a-day market, and you can't think that you can pick up every trade. So I think traders have just got to take a little bit of a deep breath and realise that make sure that you're functioning well. Secondly, this next point, don't overextend yourself, because we saw that big rally from 103.50 on Monday morning on the pound, and then all of a sudden it's now back at 107. So you saw a big retracement. Now these are unusual times, and when you see unusual times, things happen unusually. So don't try and second guess markets. Maybe limit your leverage a little bit, and just watch and learn. Don't be greedy, and don't look for too much blue sky. You can never go broke taking a profit, and I think that's the best advice.